reportážne video z podujatia, na ktorom sú prezentované nielen produkty, ale aj podniková informatika. V tomto prípade sú to inovačné dni spoločnosti Dell v Kodani. Nie je jednoduchá záležitosť. Našťastie nám v tom významne pomohli dievčatá zo spoločnosti Creative Connection, ktoré sa zaoberajú zaujímavou činnosťou nazývanou Graphical alebo Visual Minutes. To znamená, robia mapy myšlienkové alebo teda ideové mapy z jednotlivých prednášok. Napríklad toto je mapa Customer Innovation, prednáška o cloude, Big Data, internet vecí, výstupy z technologických laboratórií a konvergencia. Môžete si video zastaviť a pozrieť si jednotlivé záznamy podrobnejšie. Nebudete ukrátení ani o predstavenie produktov. V závere videa je ukážka, ako funguje zaujímavý grafický nástroj alebo grafický tablet Project Smart Desk a ako sa dajú zhotovovať fotografie pomocou tabletu Dell REVUE 8, na ktorých sa dajú merať rozmery.
Hello, my name is Sina. I'm from a company called Creative Connection and we do something called Visual Minutes where we are in real time and real events and we listen to what's being said. We listen to the keywords that we capture and then we illustrate the concepts and the things that are being talked about. And then people can come and be reminded about what it is they've heard and discussed during the day and hopefully get some funny imagery as well. Yeah.
Je to zaujímavé sklbenie umenia a technológií. Samozrejme, tie dievčatá sú grafičky a nevedia nič o témach, ako je cloud computing, big data, security či internet vecí, ale sedia na jednotlivých prednáškach, robia si poznámky, nejaké kľúčové slajdy si zachytávajú pomocou fotografií mobilov, robia si predbežné náčrty a robia si koncepciu, ako bude ich výsledné dielo vyzerať. Najprv si usporiadajú myšlienky, čiže kľúčové slova, tak aby to nejakým spôsobom logicky na seba nadväzovalo. No a potom začnú kresliť, vytvárať finálnu podobu diela. Tieto výsledok ich práce si návštevníci so záujmom pozerajú počas coffee breakov, využívajú ich blogery na svojich blogoch, novinári do článkov a boli sme vďační aj my, že oživilo to troška naše video.
So what we have here is called Project Smart Desk. That's the project name. It's something we've been working on and that we're developing further now with partners, and we're doing little research experiments at Dell as well. This is the desktop area. You can see there's different bits of content here that I can move around. As they move to the side, they get smaller, so I can store more things. I have a preview state here in the middle. If I drag and drop them onto the center stage, they become active, and I can start to browse and go through them. This screen is really, really good for seeing the effects of the things I'm doing here. This is the place where my hands are, which is a natural place to do stuff. So as I'm doing things here, I see the effects of my actions here. So browsing through content, the content's visualized here. Here I have the overview. I can reveal and hide stuff. I have different things like a sketchbook app where I keep my sketches for the project. I can browse through them. And I can sketch on them. These are things that people still not do on their computer. It happens on little pieces of paper on your desk, and there's this gap between what happens on your computer and on your desk, whereas a service like this makes it really easy to integrate both workflows. So now I can just very easily start to sketch on here. I have physical tools that make part of my GUI, part of my tools tangible, I'm in my tool mode here, and now with this button I can go through different tools and select different tools while I'm drawing. If I go into color mode, it becomes a color wheel, and I can easily select different colors as I'm going. We think that we could clean up a whole lot of the GUI by just adding tools to these physical totems. But this view I can very easily manipulate with all the known touch gestures. So I can move this guy around, I can place him where I want, I can adjust the angle so that it's easy for me to sketch. And I can just use my stylus here to sketch on top of it. I can now also influence the tool that I've selected, which is the color tool, while I'm sketching. So with these kind of two-handed operations, I can create effects that I haven't seen before. So going through color and opacity here as I'm sketching. So allowing these two hands to work together with these physical tools opens up all new ways of interacting with content. There's a quick slideshow here of how we imagine some of these workflows. Say I'm interacting with content on Smart Desk. I'm sketching a little character. At some point I share that with Photoshop. There's things that are good for me to do here, like the sketching, but there's other things that might be better to do in Photoshop where it's the editing. So I go to my mouse or the touchpad here and I start doing some of these other things. And there's a very logical sort of flow between these two different types of interfaces. Another example here is Maya, where there's a node editor, and while I'm looking at my application, I could have the node editor here and have another view into that application. And for example, when I'm defining materials, I'll browse to this material and I can easily connect the different nodes here. So I have the overview of my node editor here while my app's open there. For example, Motion Builder or other animatics programs where I'm animating a character, normally I would use to pick a joint in here and numerically change the values or do it by mouse, and I do that per joint. As I'm doing it here, I can actually pick 2 of these points and stretch my character, or I can pick 3 and I can pull it apart in different ways, which is very much more intuitive and a much more natural way of interacting with these skeletons. For sketching, I'll have my overview here while I'm doing my work here. Things like music, and I have a very natural interface to actually do some of these things that can be extended by using some of these tactile elements to make knobs and dials tactile. Again, looking at overview, when I'm presenting, I might have the overview of all the slides that I'm going through. Things like games as well. There's the editing here and there's the actual gameplay there. That's it for our demo.
So this is the Venue 8 from Dell, and it has a RealSense camera technology from Intel. So you can take pictures in 3D. So for example, if I take a picture here of this bench, I can go into the gallery. So if I go into the gallery, I can measure the distance in the picture. So it shows this. So I can measure the distance between the 2 lines. So it's 1 feet and 10 inch. So this can be used in many different situations. It's only the imagination that puts boundaries.